Good morning, Unity of Payson, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm delighted to see you. Those of you who are here in person, delighted for those of you to be with you that are online with us this morning. And as we begin our service this morning, would you take just a moment to center yourself, to breathe, to be quiet, to be here now as we open in prayer. God of all goodness, we are so grateful. Grateful for this new year, the chance for a new start, the opportunity to look at things freshly and with new eyes, to remember who we truly are. We are grateful. And we are grateful for each member of this community and each one who has joined us this morning. As together we demonstrate the oneness that is the truth of us through this time together. Again, we are so very grateful, and so it is.
Now it's time for our opening song. Thank you for this day. Karen Drucker.
Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Now thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I want to welcome you again to Unity of Payson. We're so glad you're with us this morning. We want to recognize those who are new to Unity of Payson. If you're here for the first or second time, please let us know. Virtually, you can raise your hand, and you can raise your hand if you're new in person. We invite you to remain after the service concludes and break bread with us. We'll talk about the message of the day, connect with each other, and get to know our family better. If you'd like to be informed of our weekly activities, we send out a Monday e-newsletter. So please either leave your email in the chat or go to the contact page at unityofpayson.org and leave us a message. Again, we warmly welcome you. And let's say our prayer from our Unity of Payson family. We say together, we love you. We bless you. We welcome you. And it's time for our gratitudes. We're grateful for those who support Unity of Payson with your time, your talent, and treasure. We're grateful for the events of last week, which include morning cafe, Qigong and Tai Chi, and organic gardening. We're thankful for the technology that allows us to meet both in person and virtually. If you have a gratitude to share, now is the time. If you're online, please unmute to share and mute again when you have finished. And if you have a gratitude to share in person, I'm not sure how that will work with me online because I can't see you. However, you can probably raise your hand.
We'll let you know, Donna.
Okay. So I don't know.
I'm grateful for rain.
So Betty is, say that again, Betty.
I'm grateful for all the rain.
Grateful for rain. And it is still raining in Payson. It's difficult to get out of this morning because of that. Okay, so Unity is grounded in meditation and affirmative prayer. We have trained prayer chaplains to support you. So let's go to the next slide. Thank you. You may call or email your request to Rev Neal at neal.unityofpayson@gmail.com. Our prayer team and Silent Unity will join you in prayer for 30 days, and then we'll send your request for another 30 days to Silent Unity. So that'll be 60 days altogether. There is a prayer box on the table if you're here in person. You can fill out a prayer request before you leave. All prayer requests are held sacred and confidential. And if you'd like someone to contact you, please leave a phone number or email with your request, and a chaplain will contact you. And now it's time for our theme. Thank you. Unity of Payson's theme for January is grace. And let's say the affirmation together. I am transformed as I receive and extend divine grace. Today's speaker is Rev Neal Worthington. And the title of his message is The Wonder of Divine Grace. And now it is time for the daily word. Today's daily word is fresh start. Centered in God, I create a fresh new life. Say that with me together. Centered in God, I create a fresh new life. I begin this year with renewed enthusiasm and a fresh perspective. I feel alive as I realize that all the love, wisdom, energy, and strength of God are mine to express in my life right now. Grateful for the lessons of experience, I release past disappointment with a forgiving heart. I'm going to say that again. Grateful for the lessons of experience, I release past disappointments with a grateful heart. I find harmony as I look beyond differences and focus on the divine life and love that unites us. I go about my work seeking to serve others with humility. I find ways to develop and evolve my skills and nurture my talents, allowing me to continue to grow and learn. This year, I will thrive in all areas of my life as I feel God's presence everywhere I go and in everything I do. And from Revelation 21:5, and the one who was seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all things new." And I would like to say that it is possible every day to make all things new. We can make a choice and set an intention for a fresh perspective every morning. And every evening before we go to bed, we can have gratitude for the blessings that we received. So, Happy New Year to everyone. And let's see, this is the first Sunday, so it's time for our mission and vision statements. Join me with heart, mind, and those in person may speak as we affirm our mission and vision. Together, we are a welcoming and open-hearted community, inspiring each other to live in love, joy, and service. And our vision. Together, we enrich our world through spirit-centered service, positive human connections, and stewardship of all creation. And now our speaker, Rev Neal, will share the message with us. And unmute, please.
So, are you hearing me now, Donna? Just affirm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what I was saying was Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year.
So you in person have heard it twice. In the year 1773, on this very day, New Year's Day, one of the hymns that you absolutely love, well, I'm taking that for granted, one of the hymns that you love was introduced for the very first time this day, 250 years ago. That hymn, of course, it goes along with our theme, Amazing Grace, written by John Newton. John Newton was an interesting character that in his growing up went to sea with his father, became a seaman, was in the Royal Navy, and even after that, when he was released from service, he continued his seafaring ways and became part of the American, I should say, but African American slave trade. So he was a slave trader for many years. On one of those voyages, as he was returning to England off the Irish coast, the ship that he was on met with a violent storm. Now, John Newton had been pretty much an agnostic up until that time, but the storm was so fierce that in that time he reached out and said, "Lord, have mercy, God, have mercy on us," probably for the very first time in his life. That was the beginning of his awakening, and it was later that he ended his involvement in the slave trade, began to study theology, and eventually became an Anglican minister. I like this because it was later in his life. I kind of followed that track too. It was later in my life when I actually became a minister. When he became a minister, he found out that the skills that he'd developed, even when he was a sailor, writing poetry, that is, kind of fit in with that ministry that he was doing. And so he would often write a hymn, especially for a service. And he did in 1773, 250 years ago today, when he wrote Amazing Grace. We'll get to the text and the lyrics of that Amazing Grace, but let me continue on with our theme for today, the wonder of divine grace that we're talking about. John Newton's hymn followed several themes, and throughout this month, we'll visit those themes again and again. Here are some of the themes that were in that Amazing Grace, and still are in that Amazing Grace hymn. The theme of forgiveness and redemption, that they are possible no matter what has happened in the past. The idea that without grace, we can't clearly or truly see. The truth that grace provides relief from fear. And the powerful truth that grace overcomes all circumstances. Of course, it wouldn't be me and it wouldn't be here unless we looked at the definition of some of these terms. And we're going to look at the definition of grace. I call the Merriam-Webster dictionary Merriam the librarian. I don't know why, but I like that term. And here's what Merriam the librarian has to say. Grace is divine assistance given to us for the purpose of regeneration. Divine assistance given to us for the purpose of regeneration. And then we look a little bit further at a metaphysical definition of grace, and we find it's right along the same lines, but maybe goes a little bit deeper. It's a transforming power that establishes a new and a higher consciousness on earth and in us. Distill this into a key spiritual truth for today, and that truth is this: wondrous divine grace blesses us richly and allows us to see good in every situation. Let's start with just what is grace? Well, if you look at it in the largest possible point of view, grace is an increase in good. Not just a little increase, but a huge increase in grace available to us. That corresponds with creation. If you remember the creation story, after each day of creation, God in that scenario, in the story, looked upon creation and said, it was good. That is the very nature of things, the goodness of all that is created, the goodness of our situation, however it may appear, the goodness of the design of humanity. We were designed to reflect, to eventually express the goodness of the divine. It was a perfect design. Part of the design was also our free will, so we really work that out somewhat imperfectly from time to time, but the design, who we truly are, which we sometimes forget, is that of goodness. We, of course, are given a divine nature. We are not just human, we are also fully divine, and within us lies the ability to express the perfection of creation. The design also had an interesting part, knowing that we probably would forget. The design gave us the opportunity to make things right again. There's a really nice translation in the New Living Translation of the scripture, in the Christian scriptures, that says this: divine grace freely makes us right. Of course, not in the eyes of the divine in the big sense of the word, but in our eyes. Divine grace freely makes us right. It's kind of the idea of, and this word is tough for me sometimes because I learned it from a child and it meant something entirely differently than I know now. Involves salvation, the idea of being saved. But I really love the understanding, the deeper understanding that is spoken of in A Course in Miracles in this way. We are saved from belief in the reality of sin and guilt. Let me say that again. We are saved from the reality of sin and guilt, saved from belief in that reality. In a sense, we, divine as we are, become the agents of our own salvation, and I like the word awakening better. So I'm going to trade that out, give you the word awakening. The thing about this process of grace and grace being received is that it comes to us with suppleness and ease. You've heard the word grace used in that way. She is so graceful, supple, moving with ease. The same thing is true of divine grace. It's designed to come with us, come to us, come through us even, with suppleness and ease. For me, it has taken a lot of life for me to come to this place where I looked at the divine design as one that was all good. The word I use for it is omnibeneficence, all good. Many years, I looked at it differently. But bit by bit in the process of awakening, I got a long way to go yet. But in the process of awakening, I came to the belief, which is now firmly a core belief for me, that all is good. Not in the sense of lightly saying, everything's good, but in the sense of knowing that when I can see the big picture, or even though I may never see the big picture, we know that all is intended for my good and all will work together for my good. For me, this took some time, but now I firmly believe that. And it colors all my ways of looking at life. So besides looking just at what grace may be, let's look a little more closely at the nature of divine grace. We've seen that it blesses us richly, but a few more things. Grace is unlimited. That divine good has no limits whatsoever. We sometimes think of this when we're talking about abundance. Abundance that's available to us, divine substance being available to us in an unlimited way. All that we could ask for or desire is available. The same is true for grace. That divine blessing, that divine increase of good. It's unlimited. Oh, I like the song we sang earlier. Thank you for this day, this healing day, because divine grace is by nature a healing thing, something that makes whole. It brings all of the fractious parts of us together and makes us whole. That's the nature of divine grace. It's also revealing. You remember the line in that Amazing Grace song, I once was blind, but now I see. Doesn't mean we were physically blind. It means that with the eyes that are given us, eyes of spirit coming from the divine nature within us, we see differently. And it makes a whole difference in our lives when we can take away the shutters from those eyes and allow ourselves to see differently. We talked about it being abundant. It's abundant and always available. Divine grace has no time frame. Oh, you can get it at this time. You can get it if you do this. You can get it if you do that. It's always available freely. And that grace is sufficient for all of us and all of our imperfections. Remember, we've forgotten somewhat who we are. And as we're relearning that, we're quite likely to make a few mistakes along the way. And grace is there, available to us, allowing for all of those imperfections. There's a scripture in 2 Corinthians that goes like this. Divine grace is sufficient for you. Divine power is made perfect in weakness. Even in our weakness, even in our misunderstanding of what truly is the truth of our lives, even in the errors we make, our imperfections, divine grace is made perfect in those errors and that weakness. Divine grace sometimes catches us by surprise. And I won't tell you who, but one of our number, I'm going to do this a little bit anonymously, so forgive me for that. I tried to reach them, but I couldn't this morning to get permission to share it, so I'm going to share it anonymously. One of our number recently shared with me some very difficult circumstances, being displaced, being frustrated, feeling like there was no home anymore. And in that process, she called a spiritual colleague, and the colleague kept reminding her that despite how it was appearing to her at that moment, the truth was that everything was well. And just after that phone call, immediately after that phone call, someone came to her and said, the displacement is over, we're going back. Right now, we're going back. Delighted, she went back to find out that her place was in upheaval. Things had been put here, put there, put everywhere to remedy the problem in that apartment of hers. And so again, she was back in that frustrated place. And again, she called her spiritual colleague. And as she did, the colleague said, that's not the truth of it. What you're looking at is not the truth. Go open your door. And she asked, what do you mean, open the door of my mind? No, go open the door. When she opened the door, two people were there saying, how can we give you assistance at putting things together again, making things right, making things whole? Amazed, astonished, she went on, and she moved to join us in a virtual meeting. And when she did, she couldn't get in. The technology was no longer working. And again, this tendency to frustration came on. And then instantly, suddenly, the technology work. I'm waiting for this to happen for us, Tom, here sometimes. Maybe it's my openness to grace that sometimes keeps it from coming. So it catches us by surprise, but the agents of this grace are creation and other created beings. Buddhism says that grace isn't something we receive from a remote God or a higher power, but it is, in fact, and I'm going to quote from a Buddhist teaching, grace comes from recognizing and appreciating the indispensable relationships in our lives. It comes through others created in perfection. It comes through creation. Buddhism would specify 4 areas: the grace of the air, the sun, the moon, the wind, the rain, like we have this morning. The grace of parents and those who protect us and teach us and educate us. The grace of all other beings and created beings, including, of course, animals and plants. And the grace of regulations even that bring harmony to our family, our community, our nation, and our world. That grace is there waiting for, that wondrous grace is there waiting for us. Remember that key spiritual truth. Wondrous divine grace blesses us richly and allows us to see good in every situation. So what does grace do for all? Well, from our perspective, if we can open ourselves to know the truth, it establishes us as blameless. So easy to blame ourselves or blame somebody else for what's happened, not recognizing the good that will be the very nature of that difficult circumstance. But with grace, we establish ourselves as blameless, created in perfection, having imperfections, but knowing that grace will wrap that in a cloak that will lead us through that path to understanding that all is well. Of course, it's available for everyone. There's a scripture that talks about this. It says the grace is like the rain falling on the just and on the unjust. Or we might say, those who remember who they are and those who haven't yet remembered who they are. Grace is available for everyone. Grace is also a path to transformation, or that regeneration that we've talked about. It's an ability for us to get on a grace track, if you will. Grace track. I like those words. I have fun with words. We're on a grace track. Grace isn't heavy and somber. It's light and joyful. So let's get in that place. More light and joyful, please. But how do we have access to grace upon grace upon grace upon grace that's always there waiting for us? Tom, I put together a slide because I always come up with, how do I do that? And so here we go. How do I do that? There we go. I've made it to, I sometimes write a little bit of poetry too. Haven't yet got to writing hymns for the Sunday service, but I don't especially like rhyming all of the time. But this morning I'm going to rhyme. So we don't hold on tightly, we think rightly, and we live brightly. Don't hold on tightly, think rightly, and live brightly. Let's unpack that a little bit. So what you hold on tightly to may keep you from receiving this grace, this understanding and this infilling of the goodness of the divine, that increased measure of goodness. What do you hold on tightly to? I've suggested 3 things. You'll see them on the slide. Your opinions. I don't know if anybody here is opinionated, but I have to confess that I have been at times. We hold on to our opinions put together by our human will so tightly that we can't experience divine grace. We hold on to our way of doing things. I'm learning here. So my way of doing things says the dish rack where the dishes are placed after they're washed, it should be organized just so. Simple illustration, but we do this with so many things. This is the way it should be done. And we hold on to that, and it just keeps us from experiencing that divine grace. As we're able to let go our grasp on that, we can experience grace. And finally, the outcome that we focused on. So often we say, what is my heart's desire? And we picture it, but then we take a little slice of that and we just solidify it. This is the outcome that's got to happen. This is how it's going to look. Well, divine grace doesn't work that way. Divine grace looks at the greatest good, which we cannot necessarily see. And so as we're able to let go our grasp on that specific outcome, we open ourselves to grace. A little affirmation that I have put, and you can use this affirmation or formulate one, adjust it for you. But I put it like this. It's not the affirmation, it's denial first. And this is the denial part of it. I am not the out-picturing of my human will. That's not the truth of me. I am not the out-picturing of my human will. So think rightly. Of course, we've heard that we're children of the divine, that we have all of this legacy and all of this inheritance, but yet we find ourselves thinking of ourselves as undeserving, thinking of ourselves as small, and we don't think rightly, but we get to choose our thoughts. So I say, think rightly. I've put together an affirmation for that. Again, you can adjust this for you. I am a child of the divine with all divine benefits included. I am a child of the divine with all divine benefits included. And finally, live brightly. Remember the Sermon on the Mount says, you are the light of the world. As you become a conduit for grace, as you become a receptacle for grace, as you become someone that extends grace, and we'll talk more about this in the other messages of this month, then you can shine brightly. You can live brightly. What a glorious idea to be able to live brightly. Remember that key spiritual truth again. Wondrous divine grace blesses us richly and allows us to see good in every situation. Back to amazing grace. In Unity, sometimes we will take a text and we will see a little bit of a deeper meaning to it. That's our metaphysical understanding. And sometimes with our hymns, particularly in the Unity hymnal, Wings of Song. Is that it, Marianne? Wings of Song. We find that the words, the texts are adapted just a little bit. So the Unity hymnal has adapted John Newton's lyrics. And here's how they go. Much of it will be similar, but there'll be a few different words here and there. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to sing, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. And finally, through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already passed. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far to freedom that will last. Now, John Newton also wrote something that hasn't come down to us. He wrote a chorus to go with those verses of the hymn. I found this, I thought this is great, because we're talking about the wonder of divine grace. Here's the chorus that he had. Sing it in your heart with me. Shout, shout, shout for glory. Shout, shout aloud for glory. Brother, sister, mourner, all shout for glory. Hallelujah. And so it is.
It is. Whew. Well, now that we're shouting, it's time to prepare for meditation as we listen to our meditation song, Wind Beneath My Wings.
So it's time for us to take this in just a little bit. Take this truth that we've heard, to take this insight that we've gained. So would you join me in quieting your body, connecting with the earth, quieting your mind. Let people, all of us, just allow our mind to quiet. And as we quiet our minds, we look inside, not outside for some rescuer, some benefit that we luck into, but inside, to the divine grace that is resident within us, ready to fill our soul, ready to bless us richly. So in this quiet time, think of that wondrous grace, that increase of good, that unlimited blessing. Just spend a moment. Reflect on your past, the blessings that you've received, and realize that the nature of those things is only just the tip of the iceberg. Because divine grace is exponentially more powerful, exponentially more comprehensive than those few things that we remember as grace, waiting for us to allow them into our lives. And as we begin to get the sense of the possibility, let's turn away from what prevents us. Let's move toward grace as though we have to move to find it. We don't. But in our understanding, let us move toward grace, knowing that as we open our hands and release the blockages to that grace, that it's ready there to fill us. And let's remember, and we'll take this into the silence. We are children of the divine, given all of the benefits that the divine nature has, and they are unlimited. So take that into the silence. I am a child of the divine, which includes all of the benefits. And now let's bring our awareness back to here and now. Bringing back with us that sense of the wonder of divine grace, that sense of our deservingness of that divine grace, that sense of being able to open the doors and let it flood in, around, and out through us. So as you come back to here and now, you've brought with you a new sense of who you are. You're remembering a little bit more who you are. So as you come back, perhaps opening your eyes, wiggling your fingers, your toes, to bring you back to the here and the now. Bring that divine grace back with you as though it's something you carry. Well, at least open yourself to it being with you continually. And so it is. Amen.
Oh, I wrote down three things from the message that I'd like to acknowledge and emphasize. Divine grace looks at the greatest good. Grace is a friend with divine benefits. And shine brightly. Last evening, I had candles going, and most of them were battery operated, but they flicker, so they look natural. And I put on the big screen TV, Happy New Year music, and that had lights also, and fireworks, and just lots of beautiful visuals. And I proposed a toast in the evening to let our light shine brightly. And so shine brightly is an important message for me, and I think it's important for all of us. So thank you, Reverend Neal. And now it is time to share our gifts. It is time for our offering. Unity of Payson appreciates your gifts in support of this ministry. Those gifts not only support this spiritual community in terms of in-person as well as hybrid service, but they also go out to the larger community. As you listen to the offering song, you'll have time to make a contribution. Information for giving is on the slides. So let's bring our attention to our gift at this time. And let's call to mind our heart's desires. Our desires to shine brightly. Our desires to receive grace. Our desires to live our calling and our purpose. And together, let's affirm, freely we give, and freely we receive. And Love is My Decision is our offertory song. So you have time to make a contribution. You can go to unityofpayson.org and click on the Donate Support button. And the basket will be passed in Payson in person. Love is my decision.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me decision right here and
It's time for our offering dedication. Divine love flowing through us blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. We are abundantly prosperous. We are grateful. And we give thanks. And so it is. Next Sunday's speaker will be Rev Neal Worthington, and we continue with the Unity of Payson's theme for January, which is grace. And the affirmation, one more time together, I am transformed as I receive and extend divine grace. Next Sunday, the service will include a burning bowl ceremony. I'll share a few announcements with you now. All meetings are on Zoom right now, and love offerings are appreciated all the time. Our regular weekly meetings are morning cafe, Monday through Saturday at 9:30 to 10 a.m., just a half an hour. Join us at unityofpayson.org on the Zoom channel. Just click on the Zoom link and you can join us 9:30 a.m. Arizona time. And we will have a discussion of the daily word. And it's a really great way to start the morning. There's highway cleanup. Contact Neal to participate. He's got those grabber things now, so you don't have to pick anything up with your hands. And organic gardening at Shanti Olmsted. Contact Ram to participate. Our next potluck will be January 8th, next Sunday, in the in-person meeting. And we'll also have our annual meeting that day as well. So it's a big day next Sunday. And we also have a Course in Miracles Tuesday, January 3rd and the 17th at 6 o'clock Arizona time. And we have a PS. Oh, okay. You can talk about this, I guess, Neal.
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to mute myself.
So you can see on the screen the members of the Unity of Payson board. But our annual meeting, which of course will be 1 week from today, it will be after the service, nearly immediately after the service. We especially invite you, if you are a voting member of Unity of Payson, but we're open and we're welcoming to all of those who are part of our family, because sometimes you might not officially be a member, but you are part of the family. So you'll want to know what's happening for us as we consider a few changes and a new board member, things like that. So we'll look forward to seeing you there. And of course, that will be virtual as well. So you can participate and join with us if you're online, wherever you are. Couple of other things. There are here in Unity of Payson a table full of ornaments, holiday ornaments. So as you're getting ready to put away all of your Christmas things, and you just think next year there's a couple of things I might need, I would say put a small donation in the box and take whatever you want from that table to add to your ornaments and your
I second that.
celebration
Thank
of the
you, Neil.
holiday.
Thank you for that reminder.
Also- Go ahead.
Really take what you want and put whatever you want in the box. Because we're going to be taking it down before next Sunday. Thank you.
Yes. Also, after this service, we're about 5 minutes away from a time of connection and of discussion, conversation. So if you're here in person, get a snack or a cup of coffee or something, because we're going to break bread together. Not literally, but we'll break bread together and come back and sit here. We'll turn the camera around and others will join us online perhaps. We've started a new streaming service, a brief service that happened, it was put online exactly at 10:30. It's 40 minutes long. So that service is about to conclude. Take 5 minutes if you're here in person. Take 5 minutes if you're here with us virtually on Zoom, and come back for a conversation and breaking bread together. We will look forward to seeing you then. And now we'll conclude our service with the peace song. And we don't have a big circle here today, but we can be together and demonstrate our oneness as we sing the peace song, and then, of course, the prayer for protection.
Something happened to it.
So we're going to sing that peace song without the music to go along with it. Why not? A cappella. The words are on the screen.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that is meant to be. With God as Creator, family all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me, and this is the moment now. With every step I take, this is my joyous vow. I take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
And now the prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. And the presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you very much for being with us today. In a few minutes, come back as we break bread together. We'll see you then. Time for your second morning cup of coffee.
That was 7.